Yeah, Greg Fitzsimmons is here. Comedian Greg Fitzsimmons. He's got his new special. It's called You Know Me. It's out now on YouTube. We're looking to push him over the top.
Yes.
At Greg Fitzsimmons Comedy. It was recorded at the Comedy Mothership there in Austin, Texas. And if you're familiar with Greg Fitzsimmons and his comedy, you know what to expect. I mean, there was no
you know me.
There was no breaking new ground on this one. It's about you. It's about I didn't realize that you were a sober guy. I kind of felt bad because I think I said, hey, let's go grab a drink.
I think you did.
We were at the Bert Kreischer thing because, of course, it's a Bert Kreischer event. There's booze.
What you expect.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what? You were like a teenager, right? 17, 18?
When I stopped? No, I was probably 25, 24.
Oh, old man.
Okay.
Yeah. But I started when I was like 12. I'm Irish.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so you're Irish and sober.
Irish and sober.
Was it like a rock bottom thing, or did it become like just like a project? You're like, oh, let's see if I can do this.
And like, I see where this is going.
Yeah.
I totaled a car. I got arrested for fighting a few times.
Oh.
But it wasn't
real Irish stuff.
It wasn't that low. It was just more of like, I found comedy.
Yeah.
I'd never been good at anything. I was a bad student. I was not a good athlete. And then I found comedy and I was like, I kind of felt like I could do this. But,
yeah.
And then I went on stage drunk one night. It was a show in Boston for the Children's Hospital.
See? That's hilarious. You are good at this.
But the children weren't there. It was the check was being handed to them, but the benefit was at noon. And it was the week of Christmas, and all the union guys from Boston, all the Southie guys, construction workers, and they all came into Nick's Comedy Stop, which was a mob joint in Boston. And the comedians would go up while the prostitutes who worked, it was in the red light district, prostitutes who were friends with the comedians walked around the audience with hats, topless, and they collected money for the kids.
Oh, that's for the kids. Yeah, for the kids.
That's a good benefit.
It was called for tots. And so I went on stage, I started drinking, and I had some friends that I played hockey with that were all like really tough construction worker guys.
Yeah.
And we're doing shots and doing pictures, and they put me on towards the end of the show. And I got up and I tanked. And when you're drunk and you're bombing, you leave your body. I was floating above Nick's Comedy Stop, looking at the Celtics jerseys and people hissing, yelling.
And comedians always react in one of two ways. Either they shut down and whatever, or they start attacking.
Yes, they get angry.
I shut down.
You shut down. Oh,
yeah.
So
and
then people feel, that's got actually better because then people feel bad for you. That's that's the comedian's fetal position.
Right.
Yeah. Right. It was like leaving Las Vegas. I was Elizabeth Shue in the fetal position in the shower.
Right.
And I got off and I was so ashamed and disappointed. That was the last time I ever drank.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I get it.
It's a good bottom.
Yeah, I get it because you were really trying to make a go of the comedy thing, which has clearly worked out. So that was a good decision.
I've crawled my way to the middle, and I'm staying right there.
So do you have a vice? What's your vice then? You don't drink. I mean, does that include when you say sober? I mean, is that California
I'm not
sober?
I'm California sober.
So
I took mushrooms last weekend.
Okay.
Oh, how'd that go?
Like microdose,
really
or you like full? You go for it, like full octane mushrooms.
Yeah, I take I usually take like 2 grams, so it's not a microdose, but it's not a what you call a hero dose.
Yeah, this is now Gina's language. Gina grad.
That's impressive. I mean, it's more than a microdose. People, you could have a normal conversation with someone and be like, guess what? I'm microdosing.
Yeah.
But you can't really have a normal conversation. I can on 2 grams.
I don't want to.
Greg Fitzsimmons is here. His new special, it's on YouTube. You can check it out right now. It's called You Know Me. Of course, he's got his Fitz Dog radio podcast. You're involved in a bunch of different podcasts. In fact, you have connections to 23 other podcasts that you were on before you came to this show to promote this special. Now, okay, so you start comedy, and then your first writing job that you got, because we were talking about this, you're not doing as much stand-up as you used to. Now you're doing, I mean, you've been doing it for a long time, but you've been doing a lot more writing. And your first job as a writer was with Bill Maher.
That's right.
And I'm interested in this because I've always watched Bill Maher back when it was on ABC, and then of course when it's gone to HBO.
Comedy Central before that.
Comedy Central, like I've watched I feel like all these different forms iterations of the Bill Maher politically incorrect.
Yeah.
Now it's real time, and he's been getting a lot of crap more recently because they say, oh, he's gone right, where he's really just the same person he's always been. His positions are always the same, but now it's like the world's so crazy on either end that now he looks like a moderate. And so I enjoy the fact that all these people who have always hated Bill Maher and would never talk to me about Bill Maher, now all of a sudden there's, did you see this clip about Bill Maher?
And he made a good point.
What was it like? Because he's an interesting dude. What was it like working for him?
It was very intellectual because politically incorrect, we basically had 4 panelists and they would represent the left and the right.
Sure.
So we'd pick the topics for the day and then you would go deep dive. Like if I got Ariana Huffington.
Same person.
Wow. Super
wasn't
political,
born
yeah.
yet.
The Grand Po.
Then I would know, all right, she's a liberal, HuffPo, she's, from another country. And so you go deep into her and then you take the topic and you go, what's she going to say about it? Because my job was to write jokes for her. And so you spent the day and you put together like this 10-page manifesto that you could hand to her that not only had jokes, but it had takes on it, you know?
Damn.
And then for him, you'd get there in the morning, and I used to rollerblade to work. I lived downtown. The show was uptown.
You said cats were gay. That's pretty gay, dude.
Well, and I'd get tripped on my boa that I wore around my neck.
Tangled up.
Right.
And so you'd sit there, you'd sit at your desk, and you would write until you had 40 monologue jokes about the topics from the. And this is before the internet.
Yeah.
So there was a guy named John Hotchkiss who used to put together the hot sheet. So he would go through the newspaper, and he would, like you guys kind of have a hot sheet. You do your
go
news
through a bunch of news. And exactly.
And then we would sit and we would crank out 40 jokes, which would take a couple hours. And then you'd meet and you'd go through the topics and you'd write on that. And then after the show, you would get together and you talk about, unless you'd have a meeting after the show, unless Bill had one of his girls show. Like if he was in Cincinnati the week before, then he might have now flown in some woman who Chris Hardwick once described Bill Maher's girlfriends as a Japanese anime artist would have a hard time drawing them.
Oh my God.
And so they were just distorted faces and impossibly large breasts. And
he likes what he likes.
And a sadness in their eyes, a faraway sadness.
Knowing they're going to go hook up with Bill Maher.
Yeah, so if they were in the audience, then you knew there was no meeting.
But was he a good dude?
Bill was a good dude.
He seems like he is who he is. Like,
he is.
And if you're fine with that, then everything's going to be fine. You can get along.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all I ask in life is just tell me who you are.
Yeah.
It's like don't be Ellen. Don't pretend.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask
that you're nice and then be the other way. That's what loses people.
So, fun fact about Greg Fitzsimmons. Greg Fitzsimmons he's a 4-time Emmy-winning writer.
Oh, nothing.
And you won 4 daytime Emmys as a writer and producer on Ellen's show.
Right.
And obviously she's got her new special and there's some damage control in there and everything else. Now, I've heard it's a tale of 2 Ellens, and you can tell me if this is true or not. Like before the show kind of hit, she was one way, and then we talked about this recently too. Someone gets that big deal. They get, or athletes too. They'll get like they were great. They get a really big contract, and all of a sudden they're crap.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they can't remember how to play football. I've seen radio people that get like some big show gets a really big. All of a sudden they forget to be the show that they were when they were coming up.
Yeah, they buy an electric truck.
Yeah, I heard. They buy a cyber truck.
Some people call it transcending.
Yeah, but like what I heard about Ellen, I've known other people who have worked in that show, and they say a lot of the stuff that you hear is absolutely true. That once she kind of became Ellen, famous talk show host Ellen, and that hit, she just was like unbearable.
That's actually dead on. It was, first of all, I was excited to get the job. I went after the job. When I heard she had a show coming on, I've just always been a huge fan of her stand-up.
Yeah,
and,
her stand-up's great. That's the thing.
Great.
It's like,
it's really good.
And so I did a submission, and I was friends with the executive producer and the head writer, so I got hired pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then it was a love fest because I was there, a month or 2 before the show launched, coming up with what the show was going to be. And so we'd sit in Ellen's office and we would laugh and we'd bust balls and we'd play ping pong. And it was like fun.
Yeah.
And then, like, the day we won Emmys, it all changed.
So, like, what changed? So, like,
people started getting fired. People started getting shamed. Whatever. I signed an NDA, so I shouldn't.
Did you really?
Yeah. I shouldn't be saying any of this. But let's just say this. People had nervous breakdowns.
Yeah.
People cried. It was unpleasant.
Well, because Greg, didn't you say that? Greg Gorey. I'm sorry, Greg. There's two Gregs now. My bad. Like you said,
call me Fitzdog.
Yeah,
Fitzdog. All right, so Fitzdog worked for Ellen, and like you said, he's got some great story.
From what I remember,
but I said, I'll save it for the show. So I don't know if this is something, and if it's not something, you could tell me if it's going to violate your NDA or whatever.
So I'll say,
I don't know
from what I remember, you had written a piece for her and ran into her in the elevator, and she handed it back to you and said, rewrite it. And you said, what would you like changed? Just everything. Just rewrite it. There's nothing wrong with it. Just rewrite it. She just liked that power to tell you to redo something that was perfectly good.
Well, I got to say, that's not unique to her. You get that a lot with daily hosts of comedy shows. It's, in her defense, it's so much pressure. I mean, every day to have to come
It sounds like everybody else is doing the work.
Right.
You just have to deliver somebody else's brilliant comedy.
Yeah, but your face is...
Yeah, you're the face of it.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and I'm not excusing it, but it is. You do understand that kind of stuff is a gut punch because you've just put yourself into it. Not only that, but now you're going to be scrambling for 2 hours to come up with a new monologue. And, Jackie Gleason famously had a show where it was a Jackie Gleason show, variety show.
Oh,
and so he would play golf. This down in Miami. He insisted the show be shot in Miami because he liked to play golf.
Smart.
And so he would go out and he'd play 9 holes, and then he'd come in, and somebody will have come from the writers' room to show him the jokes that they wrote or the sketches. And if he had just played a bad round, he would kill everything. And so they started bribing the guy who worked at the golf course, find out how he played, and then they would give him a dummy set of jokes that he would kill, and then they would save the good stuff that they written.
That's kind of brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to pay the other golfers to take a dive, but this is actually more efficient.
Oh,
dude, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
That's good.
But then if he loved all the dummy stuff.
Yeah.
But you'd be shocked that there's a lot of late night hosts that are not who you think they are.
Really?
Yeah.
Give us some names.
I can't.
Oh, you got NDAs on them too.
Look, it was Sid Caesar, right?
They're right.
Hell's a poppin'.
You mean like current talk show hosts?
Kimmel's the best. Kimmel's the nicest guy. Treats everybody great. I mean, whatever. There have been. They're not necessarily all on the air now.
Somebody from across the pond.
Oh, James Corden. Is that what you were talking about? Because Seabass hates him.
Oh well, I pre-hated James Corden.
Yeah,
so
he's been pre-hating.
well on board with that one.
Anyway, we won't put you on the
Did
spot.
you work with him, or you just hated him as a viewer?
We worked with someone who worked with him, and he sucked. But beyond that, no. I just got a number one unfunny, but just a phony vibe from him. Though, like anybody who's that into theater and they use that as comedy, I don't trust.
This is from a guy driving a Cybertruck.
That's all tracks.
Yeah, so that's pretty bad.
Yeah, if you go to a musical, the whole parking lot is Cybertruck.
Right? Oh yeah, totally.
We might be more natural born enemies, but still.
Greg Fitzsimmons, his new special, You Know Me. It is out now on YouTube at Greg Fitzsimmons Comedy. Greg Fitzsimmons on Instagram at Greg Fitzsimmons Comedy. That's on YouTube. And then, of course, GregFitzsimmons.com. He'll be in Philly, everybody, November 7th through the 9th at Helium. And then there's shows that are popping up. But you're still doing writing? You still writing for other shows?
Yeah, I'm developing a show now with Bill Burr and for his company.
Love
Bill. We're calling it a comedy noir. It's a dark comedy.
Yeah, I think that would be an interesting room to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Like, I would just love to hear you and Bill Burr chopping it up and cracking each other up.
Well, Bill is more like he hired me, and then he'll go in and pitch it with me.
Yeah,
but he's not sitting in the room.
No, but I'm saying just in general. Let's get you guys. Well, I was gonna say have a beer, but you don't have beers. I'm saying
Bill used to open for me. We started in Boston together.
Yeah.
He was my opening act for a while.
He's great.
And now I get comments like, "Stop stealing Bill Burr's laugh."
It's just a laugh.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah,
it's an emotionally shut down Irish laugh where you go like you can't let the joy out. You're trapping it because it's too vulnerable.
Yeah. Well, Greg, it's great to see you. Thank you for coming by.
That's it.
I appreciate
You're
it.
done.
Well, no. What else what are we covering?
I don't know.
What are you talking about?
I could hang out with you guys all day.
I love Greg.
See, that's my biggest fear.
that they're going to leave and say, God, that sucks.
Yeah,
that was the worst.
Like we don't do a ton of guests on the show.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Never.
yeah. It's got to be somebody that I really like and I feel very comfortable with. No, I'm serious because it's like I always worry so much. Like, oh my God, they probably hate this. This probably sucks. They hate it so much.
Clock.
Yeah,
I love when somebody's a good radio person. I love coming.
I know, but what about coming here? This is number 24.
I know.
In 3 weeks.
The caboose.
Yeah, the caboose. Well, Greg, it's great that you have an open invitation. Anytime you wanna come by.
Great to hear.
You can always
Thank you
just
so
come
much.
Come and hang out here on the
invite.
show. We're gonna take a quick break. More Woody Shows next. Hang on.
Time for a smoke break. Not cigarettes. We're smoking hams. It's a side hustle. The Woody Show returns in a second. All 98.